When solving equations with parentheses and fractions, the general concept is the same. You want to isolate the variable by itself on one side of the equation. Here you see two equations with parentheses. Although there are different ways to solve these, I suggest that the first step is to rewrite the equations without parentheses. In the first equation I have here, 3 times the quantity x plus 5 equals 21, I would use the distributive property and I would rewrite it as 3x plus 15 equals 21. Once that's done, now it's just a simple two-step problem. I'm going to subtract 15 from both sides, and after I get done subtracting 15 from both sides, I'm going to simplify. I get 3x is equal to 6, and then dividing both sides by 3, I get a final answer of x is equal to 2. In the equation I have to the right, I would do exactly the same thing. The very first thing I would do is I would go through and I would get rid of the parentheses by using the distributive property. So I have 2x plus 4x minus 32 is equal to 4. And then I'm going to go through and I'm going to simplify the left-hand side a little bit. I can combine 2x plus 4x. I get 6x. Subtract 32 is equal to 4. And now once again I'm down to my two-step where I am going to add 32 to both sides. When I add 32 to both sides, I end up with 6x is equal to 36. And then dividing both sides by 6, I get x is equal to 6 for the answer. The one area to really watch for is when you have a subtraction sign in front of the parentheses. In the equation to the left here, I have 5 subtract and then 2x plus 3 inside the set of parentheses. Remember that the subtraction that's right here means that you are subtracting everything that is inside that set of parentheses. So when I go through and I rewrite this, I'm going to have to rewrite this as 5 subtract 2x. And then I'm also going to subtract the 3 because I'm subtracting everything that's on the inside. So now when I go through and solve this, I'm going to simplify that left-hand side. 5 subtract 3 gives me 2. So I have 2 subtract 2x is equal to 20. And now I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. If I subtract 2 from both sides, on the left-hand side I'm going to be left with negative 2x. On the right-hand side I'm going to be left with 18. And then I'm going to divide both sides by negative 2. If I divide both sides by negative 2, I get an answer of negative 9. Remember, one thing that you can always do is you can always go back and you can double check and make sure you do not make any mistakes by putting, in this case, negative 9 back in for x and seeing if it works. And if you do that, you will see that it does work. In the second equation to the right, notice that I have two different sets of parentheses, and in front of one of the sets of parentheses is a subtraction sign, and in front of the other set of parentheses is an addition sign. Once again, I would suggest that the first thing that you do is that you go through and you rewrite the equation without the parentheses. In the very first one, when I go through and do that, it's x subtract, I'm subtracting 5x. But since this is a subtract and this is a subtract, I am going to add 1 because subtract means to add. So I'm going to add 1, and then on the other side, because this is an addition sign, I am just going to go through and add. I'm going to keep everything the same inside that set of parentheses. And now I have rewritten the equation without the parentheses. The next thing to go through and do is to simplify both sides. So on the left-hand side, x subtract 5x is equal to a negative 4x. So I have negative 4x plus 1. On the other side, I can go through and I can combine the 4 and the 9. I still have the 2x, so I have 2x plus 13. Now I'm just going to go through that process, and I'm going to try to get the x's on the same side. Because I don't necessarily like to deal with negatives if I don't have to, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add 4x to both sides. When I add 4x to both sides, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the x term on the left-hand side. On the left-hand side now I'm just left with 1. On the other side now I'm left with 6x plus 13. Now I'm down to that 2-step. I'm going to subtract 13 from both sides. If I subtract 13 from both sides, I end up with negative 12 on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side I'm left with 6x. And now I can go through and just divide both sides by 6. I'll get a final answer of x is equal to negative 2. Rather than talking about fractions in this video, I'm going to save that for the next video. So I would like you to complete a quick check next, which has 5 problems all dealing with parentheses. Once you have completed the quick check, you can also find more practice problems in the supplementary area of this module. There are also website links you can go to for additional work if you are interested, and I encourage you to contact me if I can be of help in any way. Thank you.